my 2023 KTM890 SMT. Honest owner's review, 2,500 kilometres in. I'm an English guy, I live in the Netherlands, so it's on Dutch plates. But what do I think so far? So, most of the reviews on YouTube that I can see are test ride reviews. They're not really an owner review, and I haven't really seen a good owner review, if any at all. So I thought, why not do one? I'll run you through the good and the bad that I have noticed, and some of the things I've done to the bike. So here we go. So it's a fun bike for B-road bashing, and you can take it touring. You can go on a track day with it very easily. It comes with pretty sticky tyres, even though I've already had a puncture and had to replace it with a different tyre on the back. It's plenty fast enough. 105 horsepower is more than you need really for the road to have fun. You can go to prison with 105 horsepower, so you don't need much more. The standard bike, which obviously I've done a few modifications to mine, the windscreen it comes with doesn't do anything. It's just it looks kind of cool, but as far as going on some kind of a journey anywhere, I went for a sort of medium-sized screen that takes the wind off your chest and shoulders. Not that tall, so if you're taller than me, perhaps the next screen up would be the thing to do. I get pretty clean air for my helmet, which is what you want when you're riding, because if you get buffeting, it's kind of annoying. So screen is, in my opinion, a must-have, and heated grips I've added as well, which in my opinion, if you're going to be doing a bit of touring, is a must-have. So as standard, the bike is actually pretty expensive, especially over here in the Netherlands, and I could understand that a lot of people would be put off by the price, and rightly so, because motorbikes are expensive. They're really expensive these days, but it's a great bike. It's a really good bike. It will do anything you want it to do. You can go to work on it. You know, I've got a top box for mine. It will take two people on it at a bit of a push, I'd say. Long distance, maybe you want a bigger bike for that. But for a one-person tourer bike, I really don't think you could have much more fun on any bike than this. Negative points, I'm getting a little bit of bobbing on the front end. I've heard a couple of people mention this as well. I've adjusted the suspension slightly. That seems to have eradicated it, perhaps completely, I'm not sure. But also I wonder whether just wearing in the front tyre will help. I've had other bikes that's done the same thing, and it seems to be getting less and less, so I imagine it might just be getting the tyre to bed in a bit on the front, and then it seems to just stop that porpoising. Check your tyre pressures. Mine were wrong from when I picked them up. The back, they seem to come at 41 psi. 35, that's good. I think they say 35 and 36 or something like that. So in the manual, I would play around with the tyre pressures, set them at cold, do a ride, see how you feel, maybe drop a couple of psi in the back tyre, and you'll feel that you're getting more grip. Certainly that's my opinion of the tyre setup. Suspension seems to be very good. Obviously it's adjustable front and rear. I'm just beginning to sort of get quite confident on it now, and I think I'm going to stiffen up the rear a bit. Maybe a couple of clicks just to sort of stop it squatting down when I accelerate, just to try and keep the front end down. I'm not a wheelie man. I don't like wheeling. I like, there's two tyres, I want them both on the ground as much as possible, but this will wheelie when you pull away quite easily, and it will lift the rear end. It's quite a light bike, it will lift the rear end, and you can sort of, I mean, I haven't really got to the point where I'm backing it in, sliding it in, but you can feel that it will do that, no problem. fuel range, it's a smaller tank than the off-road version. Don't let that put you off. Get like 70 miles to the gallon out of it. That's loads, so you can go a long way. The shifter, I've just done a little video on. Hopefully people will see that, where I think that the shifter's just set a little bit too high. People are getting like, not false neutrals, but they're getting like missed gear shifts. So I've just lowered mine, hopefully that's going to do the trick. It does sound like a sewing machine when you buy it, which is quite good if you want to be quiet and have fun. I've left the exhaust pipe, the end can alone, and done a decap, which I reckon has improved the bike. It certainly sounds cooler, but I do feel like it's given it a bit more horsepower. I've also put a K&N air filter on it, just get the bike breathing, I suspect it's 1 or 2 horsepower, maybe 3 or 4, but for 105 now, maybe I've got 109, 110 horsepower, which that'll make a difference, right? Negatives on the bike, not much really. It's quite a small bike. Big riders beware. Maybe a 1200 size bike is better suited to you, or like they do a 1290. But for little guys like me, not that I'm super small, this is perfect. I can just about get my feet down or one side with this power part seat, which is, it's not so much lower, but a tiny bit lower, but narrower at the front here, which helps me move around the bike as well. So I like that. Just aesthetically, I've got some stickers made here, and here. That's Motor Pro Works. Lots of people ask me about those when I post pictures. I changed the handguards for some power parts, orange ones. I've got a grill up front, orange as well. Other than that, I've got a top box on the back. When you order it, there's a metal plate that goes on in between, so you'll need that as well. Any questions, put in the comments, and I'll try and find part numbers for you. It's really nice on the highways. You can just put the cruise control on. I've got all the upgrades on it, which you have to pay for, I know, which is a bit of a pain, and it also makes it an expensive bike. But for me, it's a toy. Spend your money on things you play with, and this is it. So yeah, it's got like the sport pack or whatever it is. Great on the highway. Such a good bike to play on, and as I say, to go somewhere on it with a little bit of luggage, cruise along on the motorway with the cruise control, and then when you get there, drop your luggage in the hotel. Up in the mountains, having great fun, B roads. This is definitely the bike for it. I've had a little problem where you've got 2 preset buttons up on here. I've got one set to the heat grips, and the other one I wanted to set onto the mode, the riding mode, and it keeps just sort of deleting itself. So for whatever reason, probably a software glitch, and I've heard other people mentioning the software problems on this bike. But that's the only thing that I've really had wrong with it. I've not tried to fix that problem. Perhaps in a future software update that will be sorted, I don't know. For me, setting the handlebar up was something as well. When I got the bike from the shop originally, the bars weren't really in a nice position for me, the levers weren't in a position for me, the mirrors weren't in a position for me, and I fettled around with that a little bit at the beginning, and that really made all the difference to riding the bike. The quick shifter, especially when you're twisting the throttle, is fantastic. I tend not to use a quick shifter when I'm just riding about. I quite like just changing gear with the clutch. But the quick shifter is definitely worth having, in my opinion, especially if you're going to do some track days or you like being a hooligan. Not really anything else negative, only positive. What a bike, probably my most favourite bike I've owned, and I've owned a lot of bikes over the years. Prior to this, the GS really was the go-to bike for me. couple of years ago I decided that GS was just too big of a bike, but also too expensive. Expensive to buy, expensive to maintain. I mean, it's cheap on fuel, but every time I took it to the dealership, it was loads of money, and I never really rode it that much. You know, I did quite a bit of commuting from the UK to the Netherlands on it, and you know, it's just motorway miles. You know, it shouldn't really be that expensive. So for a while I had a scooter. I had a 350 Forza, and then I decided I wanted to go back for a bike, but I didn't want a really big bike. And this is definitely the right choice, I feel, especially for me. And in a way, the price of it, I think it outprices itself from some of the competitors, but just pay a few thousand quid more and get one. It's such a good bike. I can't say much more about it positively. From standard, it's such a good bike. There's not much to do to it, you know. There's loads of trick bits you can get from KTM, which I've put some on. But I think a KTM is supposed to look a bit loud, you know, so that's why I've tried to make it look a bit loud. Brilliant bike, just a brilliant bike. So I'm just going to take the camera around so you can have a bit of a look. You can see the orange grille that I've put in, and the screen obviously, and the handguards have changed. I've also put on a little belly pan, which you can see. I'll try and get a good picture of it. A little belly pan under there, which is also a KTM power part. Obviously I've put a bunch of stickers on it just to layer it up a bit. And well, this is not like a full review, but I'll show you the dashboard. Most of these videos show you all these things, so there's not much extra to show. When you add in things like the heated grips, it's all controllable on the dash, so you can see the symbol there, and as you scroll through into the menu, you can see it down there, heating, blah blah blah. So you can set everything up through the dash. There's quite a lot of information on the dash. There's everything you need, not too much that you don't. I'm not a massive fan of this sort of rev system, if I'm honest. If you're anything like me, you just get to know the sound of the bike when you need to change gear, but it does like flash at you and stuff for when you want to change gear, which is cool if you like that. Nice clear indicator of the gear, which I find very useful. And then just your trip stuff, you know, especially if you're going out, and the fuel gauge is pretty good on this bike. So I find all that information pretty helpful. Up here, you've got your cruise control. It's very easy to do. You click it towards the grip to turn it on, set it by pulling it towards you, and if you push it away, it will go back to where you were. And then you've got plus and minus, so you can, you know, if you want to put a couple of mile an hour faster or slower, you can do that on the fly. It's backlit switchgear on the best part. I mean, yeah, people bang on about backlit switchgear. Yeah, it's cool, but do you need it? Not really. I mean, look, there's not that many buttons there, and muscle memory, you'd learn them pretty quick. In fact, that's the point. There's not that many buttons, and that's a good thing. You know, the Hondas have got about bloody 12, 15 buttons up on the dash, which is way too many, in my opinion. So, you know, the horn's in the right place, the indicator buttons are in the right place. They don't self-cancel, so it's all manual. Everything's LED. You've got daylight running light there. Look, you can just about see that it's on now. And when you ride, you get two little lights along the bottom as well, or you can switch that off and have your headlight on, all adjustable on the dash. Yeah, they do run quite hot on the cat. A lot of people have said that, and not just that reason, but partly that reason, I did change that for an Arrow cat delete, a couple of £100. I think that's worth the money. Certainly for the sound, you know, it makes it sound great. Yeah, what other upgrades would you need? I've got a top box, which maybe I'll show in another video, another time. All LED head lights all round. Maybe I'll just give it a fire up so you can hear it. I'm not sure how well you'll hear this on a camera, but let's give it a go. So, at idle, it's a little bit more fruity, but it's really when you rev it up, it cracks and popples. Certainly doesn't sound like that from standard. So cat delete, you'll get all the noise you want. Plus, in my opinion, the end can actually, I quite like it. It looks good on the bike. It's the right size for it. Some of the aftermarket ones are just too long or too short and stubby. And I just think that this bike was meant to look as much like a supermoto as possible. So keeping it standard, I think, fits it. But anyway, you know, these are all personal things. Yeah, if you want to know more, drop us a comment on the YouTube links below. And I am going to do a few more videos on this bike because there's quite a lot of upgrades on there. And I put them all on myself, like the heated grips. There's also, yeah, just changing the seat and doing the exhaust pipe and little bits and pieces like that. It's all time-consuming stuff. But if you paid for it in a shop, it costs you quite a lot of money. So doing those things yourself will save you a lot of money on what is already quite an expensive bike. So anyway, thanks for watching, and yeah, see you in a video soon. Thanks for now. Bye.